Hi, Sujoy. The stage is open for you right now.
In terms of our interests in Vietnam specifically, over the last 2-3 years, we made over $1 billion of investment to establish a brand new 2.6 gigawatts per annum solar module production facility in Vietnam. It is really state of the art. It's perhaps one of the few fully integrated solar module factories in the country, where you do everything from semiconductor to the finished product across the entire manufacturing value chain in one particular location. We employ about 1,200 people, and in addition to that, in our facility, we do have opportunities to create about $400 million of annual local sourcing opportunities for the local supply chain in Vietnam. So we're very proud of our investment in Vietnam, and it goes a long way to demonstrate our commitment to the region and to Vietnam in particular, as the country looks at decarbonizing its energy value chain. We have a very diverse panel in the discussion today. My co-panelists, and I'll take a moment to introduce both of them. Tracy Nilsson, she's a Senior Director, Social Environmental Affairs at Adidas. Tracy has over 20 years of global experience in leading environmental and social issues within the supply chain for global multinational companies, recognized for her expertise in developing and implementing global sustainability strategies, coupled with the ability to utilize sustainability concepts to drive business performance. Tracy manages Adidas's sustainable team towards carbon neutrality goal within the corporate and throughout its world partner facilities. I also have the pleasure of introducing Kyle Chung. Kyle is the sustainability manager at Crystal International, and Kyle's a chartered environmentalist with over 13 years of experience in environmental sustainability. He is responsible for environmental program and sustainability communications of Crystal International, a global leader in apparel manufacturing industry with 20 production facilities spanning 5 countries. To facilitate the advancement of sustainability practices of the industry, Kyle has been actively taking roles in different task teams and working groups of various institutions and NGOs. Kyle's a chartered member of the Chartered Institution of Water and Environmental Management and a member of the Association of Energy Engineers. So the way we have structured the next 45 minutes of this session is that I'm going to invite each of my co-panelists to give an overview of their company and the global corporate initiatives, and then we will go around the table asking specific questions on how do they and their initiatives enable a larger share of renewable energy in their overall energy basket. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Tracy for giving us an overview on Adidas. Tracy, over to you.
Good afternoon. I'm Tracy Nilsson. Thank you for the very good and thorough introduction. Today I have the pleasure to speak to you about Adidas Carbon Roadmap, the lessons that we've learned, the tools we've developed, the targets we have set, and most importantly, how we turn all of our ambitions into actions and work with our global suppliers and their journey in accelerating renewable energy adoption. Being in the business of sport for over 70 years has taught Adidas many valuable lessons on winning, losing, and adapting our game plan. The mindset of providing support and finding new ways to win together is what drives us as a company. At Adidas, we don't only want to change how we do business, but how our industry does business. Sustainability is one of the greatest expressions of our purpose. Through sport, we don't have any space to play sport. For over 20 years, Adidas has been working with sustainability, most recently our collaboration with Allbirds to create the most sustainable, lowest carbon shoe, our 2024 commitment to use only recycled polyester, and Future Craft Loop, 100% recyclable performance shoe. As a big company, we make a big impact in the actions we take, and this is why we are signatories to both the Fashion Pact and the UNFCCC, where we have committed to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 30% by 2030 and to achieve climate neutrality by 2050. Being actively involved gives us a better chance to shift the industry. To this end, we will continue to promote and scale low carbon manufacturing solutions and the adoption of renewable energy in the coming years. To accelerate this, Adidas is identifying and collaboratively working with our supply chain partners to decarbonize our biggest footprint, where more than 50% of our impact is directly linked to our Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers. Before we even get to the starting line, open and transparent dialogue to set mutual expectations with our suppliers is a must. We have clear policies and targets in place with them to measure their monthly GHG progress with full transparency, where we identify energy saving and renewable opportunities to implement and scale. Some of our most impactful initiatives have come from partnerships where over the last few years, more than 350 have been implemented, and more than 20% of our suppliers today use renewable energy. If we look closer into Vietnam, one of our strategic production countries, you'll see that Vietnam accounts for 20% of Adidas' global CO2 emissions. These emissions are 47 Tier 1 and Tier 2s. Currently, renewable energy has not been widely adopted in Vietnam due to restricted policies on rooftop solar installation, high initial investments with long payback time, and subsidized energy markets. However, this is positively changing, and this is reflected in a 40% jump of our suppliers investing not only in rooftop solar, but most recently engaging in the DPPA pilot.
Hi, Tracy. I'm sorry to really interrupt you because I actually heard a lot of voice break during your presentation. So it seems like something wrong with Tracy's internet. So we'll try to reconnect with Tracy afterwards. So Sujoy, is there anything you want to introduce about your company, First Solar? We'll waiting.
Sorry.
Hi, Tracy.
Oh, did I cut out?
Yep.
Yes, you did, Tracy. No worries.
Okay. Sorry.
Just keep
Everything
going.
just perfect.
And you can share your screen right now to start from where it stopped.
Where did we stop? Oh, sorry. Perfect. Technology, right? Can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see your screen well.
Perfect. So, sorry, did we get to this one, the renewable energy initiatives that we're doing?
Yep.
Perfect. So that basically sums it up. We have just started our decarbonization journey. We know it's a marathon, not a sprint, one that will take years of training, commitments, open source partnership, and collaboration to ensure that we're on the right track to reach our goals. So we're definitely looking for the regional dynamics and partnerships with everybody. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Tracy. That was really insightful around Adidas's global commitments, and especially interesting around your local commitments in Vietnam. I'm sure we will have questions from the audience on those as we go forward. With that said, I'd like to welcome Kyle to give us a perspective on Crystal International and their plans around corporate renewables. Kyle, over to you.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Sujoy. Thank you, Tracy. So let me share my screen now. Just a moment. So could you guys see my screen now?
Yep, we can see you well.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, again, thank you, Sujoy, for introducing. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here today to join the panel. And in the coming time, I will share the sustainability journey of Crystal International to all of you, in particular our actions on mitigating climate change. So first, I would like to give you a brief overview of Crystal International. So Crystal was founded in 1970. So you could see a big 50-year slide on the first page of my deck. This year, 2020, is the 50th anniversary of us. And we are a listed garment manufacturer, headquartered in Hong Kong. We have a diversified product portfolio, which can be basically categorized into 5 segments. As you can see on the screen, it includes sweater, intimate, lifestyle wear, denim, sportswear, and outdoor apparel. Actually, our Vietnam factory is one of the strategic suppliers of Adidas. And yeah, a quick glance of our business record in 2019. We have a 2.4 billion sales turnover in 2019, and currently we have over 80,000 of employees with 20 manufacturing facilities spreading across 5 countries, including China, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Cambodia. So while we are striving for business excellence, we also leverage our sustainability efforts practices to create shared values and positive impact to our stakeholders. So next, again, sustainability to us is a strategic imperative for our business, and it's the key to building long-term value for our customers and our stakeholders. So to this end, we take a very holistic approach to sustainability and define our sustainability by using 5 pillars, including community engagement, employee care, and environment, innovation, and product integrity. Some of you should have heard of the UN SDG, stands for United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and which are a collection of 17 global goals set by the United Nations in 2015. And these goals provide a shared footprint for the industry to achieve a more sustainable future and tackle global challenges. So our sustainable framework basically align with the UN SDGs. And in January this year, Crystal is honored with SDG 2000, which is a recognition selected by the World Benchmarking Alliance. So we are one of the most influential 2000 companies for a sustainable future. So regarding our journey on sustainability, we began our sustainability journey in 2007. Since then, we have started the first cycle of our 5-year sustainability target in 2007. So now you can see that we are already in the first cycle of our global sustainability targets. And actually, carbon reduction. We started our carbon reduction journey in 2007. And since then, we have already reduced it around 44% of our product carbon footprint. In addition, we have also planted 2.8 million of trees around the world in the countries that we have a presence. Another recognition I would like to share is in 2016, with our continuous dedication, we was ranked 17th place of the Fortune Change the World magazine Change the World list. So this list recognized the contribution by the companies in terms of their social and environmental impact created, and also the business result and the degree of innovation. So at that time, we were the only Hong Kong company on the list. among all other renowned international corporations. For example, you can see Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Lincoln, etc. So why climate change matters? I think all of us recognize the impact and threats that climate change is imposing to the globe. So here, I will not going to share the science, but instead, I would like to show you the materiality assessment that we have conducted in the past few years. So you can see we have a continuous engagement process with our internal and external stakeholders, including our employees, the NGOs, our customers, and the media. And among the 19 sustainability topics, we gave these topics to our stakeholders for them to rate. And finally, we find that climate change and energy saving is one of the top rated material topics among these 19 sustainability topics. So the results of this materiality assessment signifies a very strong message to us that we should pay particular focus to climate change. And we should also incorporate climate change into our business planning as well as into our risk management system. So we strongly believe that climate change embodies both challenges and opportunities. And in response to it, we apply low carbon manufacturing in all of our manufacturing facilities, from applying energy efficient production equipment to general utility, as well as recovering heat energy, waste heat energy, as far as practicable. So in addition, we are also progressively scaling up the adoption of renewable energy. So actually, it's not just includes solar PV. Some of our factories are also installed with solar water heating system. So earlier this year, one of our factory, intimate wear factory in Vietnam, has completed the installation of a rooftop solar panel with the capacity around 600 kilowatt. So it is anticipated that it could help to reduce 500 tons of carbon dioxide every year. So this is one of the examples which symbolize our gradual expansion of the adoption of renewable energy. So on top of the low carbon manufacturing, we also believe that process innovation is also playing a very vital role to boost the production efficiency and at the same time to reduce the energy consumption and carbon reduction. So our denim factory basically are all equipped with this smart laundry. Smart laundry can be considered a innovation hub, which also reflects our commitment to sustainability and carbon reduction. Because the smart laundry is equipped with the advanced drying and washing technologies, such as laser nanotechnology, as well as the use of the computerized control in this smart laundry. So again, smart laundry is only one example of our process innovation, and we have our in-house engineering team and R&D team, which are devoting to it. So my last word in this presentation, I would like to emphasize that climate change actually is a shared and common goal for all parties, but not the responsibility of any single companies. So we are combating climate change. We are not combating climate change individually. So we can see that as mentioned by Tracy, a rising number of companies have now committed to science-based targets and have cited the fashion industry climate charter to pool the efforts. So to create a synergy and drive changes, we do look forward to a closer collaboration with our customers, with other NGOs and institutions, so to drive the real change and to achieve our common goal. So that's all of my part and overview of my part. So thank you. So I will pass back the time to Sujoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kyle, and do stay on with your video. Tracy, could you also unmute yourself and switch your video on so that we can start the panel discussion?
Yes. Hi.
Perfect. 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 All right. So I think we had a great insight from both of you from completely diverse industries around a very common passion of how do you become more sustainable and how do you reduce your carbon footprint in the energy value chain. First Solar, as of last week, decided to sign up to the RE100. And, this is perhaps the first session after our announcement where we're kind of disseminating message across to the local market. So First Solar's committed to have carbon-free energy for 100% of our manufacturing facilities by the year 2028. And that is very important for us from a local standpoint because Vietnam has one of our largest manufacturing base. As I said, we manufacture 2.6 gigawatts of solar panels per year in Vietnam. Our energy consumption is roughly around 60 to 70 MVA. And that in renewable energy terms is a pretty significant amount of procurement, which we will have to do in order for us to meet our RE100 commitments in Vietnam. And I think that leads us to a pretty interesting question, especially addressed to first you, Tracy, and then to Kyle. Are, as you're more familiar with your facilities and your supply chain in Vietnam, what do you think are some of the enablers, if I may say so, and or inhibitors for you and your suppliers to accelerate the adoption of renewable energy in Vietnam, specifically in Vietnam? I think you alluded to the fact that you and your suppliers have done some rooftop or what we call on-site energy production. But perhaps as you look at your overall carbon targets, unless you do off-site and unless you do whole energy procurement, that goal is going to be difficult to achieve. So what are your views on this, Tracy? First to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think you introduced it quite well. Yes, we've been actively working with our suppliers in adopting rooftop solar or on-site renewable energy. However, I would say, one of the positive things that have happened over the course of the last few years that we've been working with this, especially the last 5 years, is just the sheer cost has reduced, right? We're now looking at a much more financial viable model. They are coming into OPEX models as opposed, to having upfront investment. So it's making business sense for our suppliers to take this. However, on the other side of that, although the cost has been an enabler in the financing model, one of the sort of prohibitors is really the cap that is currently limiting the rooftop solar. So it is capped at 1 megawatt peak. So even if you did have large roofs that you could install, as much rooftop solar as possible, they're limited to 1 megawatt peak. So that further limits the ability to meet any of these carbon reductions. And that then, I would say one of the positive moves over the last 2 years in Vietnam has been the sort of the introduction and the piloting. It's still not signed yet, but we're very hopeful of the DPPA pilot. So this will be a big game changer in Vietnam. I'll say when it really becomes law. I don't want to say if, but it really is when it becomes, allowable. Even now in the pilot, it is capped at at around 1,000 megawatts. We are hoping that it is showing positive returns for the MOIT and for Vietnam to really open this up, because if Vietnam gets ahead of this, it will be a game changer for the supply chain, and it will really help I would say, drive the carbon reductions. Because rooftop, even if all 47 of our suppliers had rooftop, I mean, we would scratch the surface like a few percentage, right? It's the start, and we want to encourage it, and we will continue to encourage it, but we need offsite to happen.
Okay, that's very helpful, Kyle. What about your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, first I would like to echo what just Tracy mentioned. Yes, rooftop solar should not be the only method or the only way to achieve our ultimate goal. Much more we need to do. For example, the offsite renewable energy options. These measures that we are also actively looking at. So I have something to add to the enablers and inhibitors to the RE expansion in our companies. So first of all, I just mentioned that we have global right 20 factories in 5 countries, but in Vietnam, we already have currently we have 6 factories in Vietnam. But unfortunately, all in the north may be a little bit weaker in terms of the solar resources. So with around, these 6 factories have around 37,000 employees in total. And currently, Vietnam has the highest production volume among the 5 production countries of Crystal International. So one of the enablers that we have observed that is the rapid growth of energy consumption. So in 2019, our factories in Vietnam recorded a 30% increase in electricity consumption compared with 2018. So we really see a growing trend of the electricity consumption. In addition, it is anticipated that electricity costs will keep an increasing trend in the coming years. So we also appreciate the policy and the financial schemes offered by the local government. And finally, I would like to mention growing awareness of our consumer, as well as the sustainability commitment of brands and manufacturers. These are all factors that are pushing the use or expansion of renewable energy. So regarding the inhibitors, as a manufacturer, broadly speaking, we recognize how determining the cost and the technical factors and technical consideration that we are facing when implementing renewable energy. On technical side, luckily, we have a corporate engineering team that can help with this kind of technical advices. They can provide technical support to our factories and conduct the feasibility study for our factories. So, but on the financial consideration, we are actively looking at financially viable renewable energy adoption options. But having said that, owing to the uncertainties of the business environment, so we should be more cautious in making long-term investment and financial planning.
Okay. It's very important, Kyle, you mentioned awareness of consumers. I think as our experience as a solar energy company, we provide lots of solar energy to consumers in, let's say, the US or Europe. I think there the debate is now going within the solar or the renewable energy is how clean is the renewable energy, right? How clean is your solar? How clean is your wind, right? I mean, I think renewables has displaced conventional fossil in terms of overall cost competitive in a lot of geographies, and now so the debate's turning from consumers like yourselves to manufacturers like ourselves saying how clean is your supply chain, how water constrained is your supply chain, and so forth, which is driving adoption of practices like RE100. Now within the industry, whether it's solar panel manufacturers or wind turbine manufacturers and whatnot. So that's very interesting. Moving on to another question, both of you operate facilities outside of Vietnam. Tracy, to you first, and then to Kyle. Some of the best practices which you or your suppliers have adopted in another country or in another geography, and maybe the reason is that there were enabling laws or regulations which allowed you to do that. But if you could kind of at least give us one or two examples of those which Vietnam can replicate?
Yeah, I would say that what we try to do at Adidas is really take all of those best practices that we see globally and then sort of synthesize that into sort of a guide that we can roll out globally in order to help suppliers. Because, Kyle was mentioning that they have a great in-house technical expertise. We use a lot of consultants to help our suppliers kind of be that catalyst in offering that. So what we really do try to harness is collecting those best practices. So for instance, last year we compiled sort of 60, I think it was more than 60 different best practices globally. We created this guideline where we rolled it out. It is, it's sort of free sourced because we want to, in spirit of collaboration and drive sustainability initiatives and, global carbon reductions. We've put it out there not only on our website, but also, to the UNFCCC. So within that, again, there's a lot of, not only renewables, how do you really access and conduct on-site rooftop feasibility studies, what do you ask solar developers, or it could be wind developers, like really just to get them started. So these guidelines are available on our website just to really help our suppliers out there and streamline the efforts, because we want to sort of not reinvent the wheel, but rather when we find it, share it collectively.
Perfect. Kyle, anything you would like to share on the topic of any best practices in other countries?
Yes, of course. So from the perspective of garment manufacturers, yeah, we have 20 factories. So that's why we have to consider the whole, the entire renewable energy plan in a more holistic and more systematic way. Because, yeah, I suggest that it's better to have a central coordination by the group so that we can deploy and prioritize the renewable energy adoption to our factories. So secondly, we have to understand that the degree of technical and policy maturities in different countries or even in different factories are different. So with a view to accomplishing this long-term commitment, we have to consider a basket of factors. For example, business plan, local policy, customer expectation, financial viability, and technical competency. And then this kind of factors should be taken into account in a holistic way so that we can prioritize which factories shall be proceeded first, and then in what scale and in what financial model.
And so Kyle, let me ask you this though, in your ranking, what is currently your top country for adoption of RE?
Yeah. We are also putting the focus to the Southeast Asian countries, for example, Cambodia, Vietnam, as well as Bangladesh, because we see the abundance of solar resources. But having said that, we have also considered our long-term business plans, as I just mentioned it. This year might create some uncertainties to our business plan. So that's why, in addition to the technical consideration, we have to also take into account our internal consideration and also the financial viability.
Understand. All right. Let me ask an audience question, which is coming right now. Maybe to you, Tracy. This is coming in from Mr. Mahani. I think he's from PLN. So I hope I got that right. The question is, when you set up the sustainability targets, should your sustainability targets be directly related with your operational activities? And the follow-up question is, The cost incurred will be capitalized in your company asset. I think that's a follow-up question. So, Tracy,
Okay.
would you like to take a shot at that?
Yeah. So when it comes to setting targets, yes, I think, I alluded it to earlier in my presentation. We have been capturing our suppliers' monthly energy data, which is converted into their carbon emissions through our own online platform, because without knowing sort of where we're starting from, it's really, it's very difficult to set individual factory targets in how it rolls up into sort of the overarching 30% overall reduction. So I would say it's key. Our suppliers are a part of that process on a monthly basis. They are part of sort of the target setting and the programs in which that we are offering. How do we provide technical expertise? How do we act as that catalyst to really support? So we do try to bring in the best that is available on the market and provide those technical expertise to our suppliers to drive that fundamental sort of change and investments. Sort of that's our part in helping our suppliers. When it comes to costs, sorry, I cannot discuss costs on the webinar. Sorry. Kyle, you are a manufacturer. Maybe over to you.
No,
No,
I think
hopefully
he didn't ask the cost.
Oh,
His question was, do you capitalize the asset on the books of the company or on the suppliers? What's your practice? I think
it's this. And so it is a cost question, because Adidas does not own any manufacturing facilities. What we provide to our suppliers are the technical expertise and a lot of the guidance. I mean, in the PPA that we're running right now in Vietnam, we're providing sort of all of that technical expertise. We are helping the suppliers understand their sort of energy matrix, matching them with solar developers up into the application phase, but then any investment thereafter, be it rooftop or PPA, that is on the supplier.
Yeah, one of our factories is also under the technical support offered by Adidas to carry out the feasibility study.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. One of the questions coming in again from the audience is that from your respective positions, what is the one thing which you would describe, single one item, which could be the most difficult hurdle in achieving your goals over the next 5 years? Maybe
okay.
To Tracy.
Yeah, to me, sorry, Tracy, let me take this first, because we have a very clear difficulty right now is we have to answer a question: how to decouple business growth with the absolute carbon reduction. This is this is a problem for a long history, because we all know that science-based target, as well as the fashion industry climate charter, is advocating an absolute carbon reduction. But in reality, in Crystal International, we are expanding quite rapidly. Even we foresee that in the coming decade. So the question is, again, how can we decouple the carbon emission with the business growth? This is the key question that we have to resolve. And we strongly trust that solar energy and other types of renewable energy should be the key driver should be the answer to this question.
Okay, Tracy, what about you?
Yeah, even as a brand, I mean, yes, I can't say it better than what Kyle sort of summarized it as. I would just add, I think one of the biggest challenges, you say 5 years, we're looking at 10 years up until 2030, but I would say right now, country policies have to open up because rooftop, even the transition from coal fire boilers to, to greener sources, it's not enough to, to meet any of these absolute carbon emissions. So we really need policy changes allowing, really the off-site to grow and to capitalize on. So I would say that would be sort of following Kyle's single. This would be the, the
Yeah, we
second
are all facing that.
All right. And another question coming in from the audience from Doug Nguyen. Will any of the firms participate in the DPPA pilot model in Vietnam? I think we've answered for solar is definitely looking at that. I think Tracy and Kyle,
Yep.
I'm assuming you guys are also looking at participating in the pilot, right?
We are. I mean, we've been on this process now for probably the last year and a half. Yes. So again, it's our we are working as a catalyst with our strategic suppliers. Adidas is not the one that is sort of the user of the offsite energy. So we're working together with a technical partner, our suppliers, and solar developers. So yes, we are heavily invested and involved. So we're fingers crossed it will be signed on the dotted line very shortly.
All right, Kyle.
Yeah, Crystal International has also been tracking closely to the joining of DPPA, and but so far we are still keeping a close eye because we already put the offsite renewable energy option to be one of the drivers of our long-term carbon reduction planning. So yeah, in this stage, yeah, we are not yet officially taking any DPPA pilots, but yeah, in the long run, yeah, I can foresee that it should be one of the key measures that we will be running.
Right. There is one more. It's not a question, but more of a comment from Mr. Kenneth Park. He's saying that we missed the important presentation made by Tracy. Disruption in the internet. And so this is a question really to the organizers. Would you be making this presentations available to the participants? Any views on that from Zoe, you or Molly?
Yeah, I want to answer this question as an organizer. We want to say we will try to make the video recording afterwards and also share the results of our audience. And of course, if Tracy is willing to make up the the period when the internet interruption happened, we're happy to do with that with Tracy. So
yeah, happy to do so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think with that, we have almost reached the end of our allotted time. I would like to once again thank both my fellow panelists for sharing their valuable insights. I hope the audience enjoyed it and we all learned something from it for tomorrow. With that said, back to Olnam.
Okay, thank you, Sujoy. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Okay, then thank you so much for the three panelists in this panel. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Sujoy. And thank you so much for your really impressive innovation shared from the energy buyers' unique perspective. And hope all of our audience will gain great values from your talk. Hopefully, we'll see more and more companies operating their business in Vietnam and also the whole Southeast Asia make and also meet their climate commitment in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sujoy. Thank you so much for your really impressive moderation.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.